So you're a granny.
I'm a granny now, yes. You remember in Vrindavan she asked you? Yes.
Well, good. How does it feel to be a granny?
It feels wonderful, thanks. Feels different than having your own child. Yes, a different experience.
But you don't have other grandchildren.
No, no, she's the first.
Hare Krishna. Are you still back in Marlborough?
Yes, I live in
Are
Marlborough.
you still there?
Yes, I'm still there.
One of the last.
Yes, one of the last few. I think we'll be always there.
I'm seeing that you have this two. Okay, go.
Haribol. Raj Prabhu.
It's nice to see you, Maharaj.
Great to see you. Wow.
Happy to be in your association.
Well, that's
It's nice
good.
small gathering.
I haven't seen you for a while, actually.
Yes, Maharaj. I've been working mostly on weekends as well. So
Really?
our shop is retail, so we open 7 days a week. So that keeps us, my mom and I, both busy because it's just the two of us managing that. So.
Really?
But yeah, keeping well otherwise.
And how's Mom?
She's okay. She's been suffering with some allergies for the last 2-3 months.
Oh, it's allergy season.
Yeah, so she had to go today for a checkup to do some blood tests and see what's the cause of this. It's happened like 3 times now where she was out for like 3 or 4 days. But they can't seem to find what the cause is. So hopefully after the blood test today they'll find out something. But other than that, she's...
And what are you selling in the shop?
It's bohemian hippie style clothing. And yeah, clothing and accessories like that. Yeah, so to the yoga community and the hippie community, and that's our target market.
From India?
From India, yes.
Where is it?
In Bruma. Close to where Govardhan Prabhu stays, like 5 minutes. Yeah, so in the Bruma, in the Chinese mall there. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and therefore it's open 7 days a week with no break. So.
Yeah.
I think they're waiting for us to start with some kirtan as well.
Okay, yeah. Hare Krishna. Haribol.
It's not more than 20 minutes. It's about 15 to 18 minutes. It's actually only 2 of them, so. But I'll use some directions. Was it directions okay?
Google Maps. I used it and there was a map, so we got to it.
was always a concern. We're unsure, with this part. But anyway, you're watching of the next. Can you get your interview to Yes, yes, I'll get it.
So, Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Krishna Krishna.
Krishna Krishna.
Hare Hare.
Hare Hare.
Hare Rama.
Hare Rama.
Hare Rama.
Hare Rama.
Rama Rama.
Rama Rama.
Hare Hare.
Hare Hare.
So, Hare Krishna, dear devotees. We'd like to welcome His Holiness Bhakti Chaitanya Swami to our house. And we'd like to welcome each and every one of you. Thank you so much for coming home and attending this program. So, I was just thinking now, we were missing association, we were missing being with devotees, but somehow devotees find a way, even in COVID, to somehow associate with everybody. So, Krishna somehow sees the desires of all his devotees, and we are fortunate that we are here again sitting together, and we're going to listen to some Krishna Katha, and then we will offer lamps together. Can I just make one announcement in terms of COVID? Please do not socialize or mingle. We'd appreciate that, because there's a baby in this house also. So just for her protection, please be kind enough just to help us out here. And also there'll be another devotee coming with a child also. Devotees can see the child, but please don't touch, if it's okay with you guys. It's just, we are scared, with COVID and for the children also. So thank you so much, and we'd hand over to His Holiness Bhakti Chaitanya Swami. His Holiness Bhakti Chaitanya Swami Maharaj ki Jai.
Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Welcome, everyone. Well, I should say, just a second. ISKCON Eton Close Yatra Ki Jai. Eton is a famous English school, you may have heard of it. It's the snootiest of all. But this is completely different. And this is beautiful, isn't it? It's really nice. Have you met Karunika Priya? I mean, without, getting too close, but there she is. Say hello. You're saying hello. I was speaking to her. Yes, it's a beautiful place. It's amazing. And today is the day after Gopastami, and there's still another, what is it? It's a week, let's just say a week, to go in Kartik. We hope everyone's taking advantage or making the most of it, and really trying to do some extra service, and trying to focus on Krishna and Radha and Krishna more than usual, and yes, we hope. And if not, you've still got another week. We started actually 3 days before, I think 3 days before. Sort of not warning people, but just sort of tuning people that it's coming. So gear up, be ready. And we suggested at that time, it's 3 weeks ago, really think what you could do. Oh, there's the other baby. Oh, Hare Krishna. And this baby is how old now? 2 months. Oh, older. 6 weeks, 2 months. Okay. Anyway, so you've still got a week to try and do some more, some better, Krishna conscious activity to get some more mercy. Because that's what Krishna consciousness is all about. Well, not all about, but it's a lot of it's about getting mercy. Of course, we have to play our part. We can't just say, come on, mercy, just, that's what I want. I mean, we can and we should think like that, you could say, but we must be ready to play our parts, and in order to get more, we need to do more. In order to get better, we need to do better. So it's just something to think about. You've still got another week. But then, after that week, I guess it starts on the 20th, the next lunar month is the month of Katyayani. That Katyayani pastime, Katyayani Leela of Lord Krishna. It began at the beginning of the month and came to a sort of a climax at the end of that month. That's another famous pastime, not quite like Damodar, but still very famous. And we mentioned yesterday, actually, I think we mentioned yesterday, that even though in this month of Damodar, the whole pastime is Yashoda Damodar. Yashoda Damodar, Yashoda Damodar. That's what it's all about, and it's so extremely wonderful and extremely important and extremely instructive, Yashoda and Damodar. But generally, we talk about Radha Damodar, don't we? Shri Radha Damodar Ki Jai. So you know what, devotees? On Sunday, come to Midrand, ISKCON Midrand, and find out what is this all about, this Radha Damodar. See, we're kind of exclusively focused on Yashoda Damodar. We haven't really talked much about Radharani at all, but rather Mother Yashoda and Damodar. So come to Midrand on Sunday morning, 11ish, and find out what is this Radha Damodar all about. And it's all about something. Wow. Anyway, come and find out. Be there or be square, as they say. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presta Bhutale Shivati Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharne Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarne Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shivas Adi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Vanchkalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Shri Radha Damodar Yashoda Damodar Ki Jai Gopastami Ki Jai. So yeah, like I said, for the last few weeks since the beginning of the month, there hasn't been much really, I would say, quite little mention of Srimati Radharani. And she, of course, is the presiding deity of devotional service, means of Krishna consciousness. She's our presiding deity, and she's the mother of devotion. She is Bhakti Devi, and she's just the be-all and end-all for the devotees. So we'll talk something about her on Sunday morning there. But I thought that this evening we could perhaps tell one little pastime of Lord Krishna with Srimati Radharani. What do you think? Haribol. Thank you to whoever that was. Let me ask Vibhu Chaitanya Prabhu, because he's very wise and he's our authority. If I tell the story of the snake doctor, what do you think that's okay? He thinks it's okay. So. All right. I don't know how many of you are familiar with that story. Maybe some, or however many are, but Prabhupada said that repetition of a good thing is good. So if you're familiar with it, that's fine. So let us begin, devotees. Let us begin by reading just a few verses, or the translations actually, a few verses from Srila Jiva Goswami, one of our very great acharyas, just to set the scene a little. Just to set the scene a little and sort of establish a bit of a transcendental atmosphere. So, devotees, listen. Listen carefully, attentively. When Radha touched her feet, Yashoda touched her head. When Radha fell on the ground, Yashoda raised her up and smelled her head in affection. When Radha remained reserved, Yashoda took her in her arms. Both gazed at each other with tears in their eyes. How can I describe the love of these two? Srimati Radharani and Mother Yashoda. And just, yeah. This is now a little different perspective, but we're just setting, establishing a little atmosphere. She who is famous as Yoga Maya among the assembly of Siddhas, mentioned in the Bhagavatam by the words Yoga Maya Upashrita, who is known as the Swarup Shakti and controls the pastimes of the Lord, but who takes the form of an ascetic woman named Purnamasi, then entered. All offered respects to her without pride and with reverence. Full of bliss, she made all present blissful by her blessings. And again, a little bit different perspective. Someone spoke to another person. Oh friend, one person surpasses whiteness, and another person surpasses a rain cloud. One person's cloth surpasses a sapphire, and another person's cloth surpasses the effulgence of gold. One person's face is like a white lotus, and another person's face is like a blue lotus. Both their eyes surpass the movements of a Kanjana bird. The prowess of both surpasses that of an elephant. It is not astonishing that these two boys stun all people. Did you guess who they're talking about? Of course you did. Yes, it's beautiful, isn't it? There's so much beauty in Krishna consciousness. It's just beyond overwhelming, although it, at least in the initial phase, it's overwhelming. But then it goes beyond overwhelming. Krishna consciousness is just the most wonderful thing. So, devotees, this pastime, just to remind us of Srimati Radharani, and also of the depth of the relationships in Vrindavan, and the depths of the emotions, the feelings, and just the characters of all the residents of Vrindavan. Let us tell this little story. It is actually written by Srila Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur. It's very beautiful. It's very amazing. You've got to listen carefully. And you've got to bear in mind, it's all very transcendental. Actually, it's more transcendental than we are. But still, let us listen carefully and let this penetrate our hearts. That one time, Jatila, the cranky mother-in-law of Srimati Radharani, and the cranky mother of Abhimanyu, the so-called husband of Srimati Radharani, just so-called only. Jatila became so, concerned, frustrated even, and disturbed even, by how Krishna and Srimati Radharani, even though Srimati Radharani is on the surface, or supposedly, however you'd like to put it, married to Radharani's married to Abhimanyu, but despite that, well, you know what it's like when people get married, then generally many people feel that that's it for those people. Their sort of days of freedom are over, and now they're sort of settled down or packed off in Chatsworth. That's what I'm from Chatsworth, and that's what they say. She'll get her married and get her packed off, so she's sort of out of the way. Don't have to worry about her any longer. So that was not really happening with Srimati Radharani, because Krishna and her, they were still making so many efforts to meet, and actually meeting sometimes. And this is just, when people are married, of course, that's not the way it's meant to be. But this was going on because, of course, and this is the important point, is that Srimati Radharani is the eternal consort of Lord Krishna. She is his Hladini Shakti, his pleasure potency. She is part of him. Just as you could say, my hand, at least in simple everyday terms, my hand is part of me, or at least certainly part of my body. It has its own sort of nature and shape and can do different things, but it's part of a greater whole. So similarly, Srimati Radharani is directly part of Krishna. She is not just another person, as we are other persons to each other. Srimati Radharani with Lord Krishna is not just another person, she is part of him. So therefore, if we understand that, if we can grasp it clearly enough, then that is like the foundation for developing the perspective on their relationship, that it's wonderful. There's nothing questionable about it at all, to say the least. But it's just glorious and beautiful and worthy of all celebration and appreciation. Yes, because they are one person in two. In fact, Lord Krishna, Srila Prabhupada once, in one temple giving class to some devotees in America, Srila Prabhupada asked what sounded like a really strange question to be put to devotees. Like, you couldn't really ask a more unusual question. Prabhupada asked, who is God? And the devotees, Krishna! And Prabhupada said, no. And everyone got knocked right back, and they thought, what? Someone's done a takeover, or what's happened? And then Prabhupada said, Radha Krishna is God. Not Radha Krishna are God, but Radha Krishna is God. Because they're one person and two. So their relationship, even though, of course, people are not educated in these things, but who may be aware to some degree of them, they may think that, this is something kind of immoral. As one so-called scholar of Indian culture, an Indologist, said to Prabhupada once, he said, these pastimes of Radha and Krishna, they're not for brahmacharis, are they? Ha ha ha. And Prabhupada replied, actually, they're only for brahmacharis and for devotees. So anyway, our Jatila will not go into detail about what sort of person she is, but other than to say, and don't take offense, that she is the original mother-in-law. In Indian society, it's different from an European society. If you say that in European society, people will laugh, because mothers-in-law have a really kind of funny reputation in those circles. Anyway, she's the original mother-in-law. She's a tough old lady. Whoa. So she had seen how, even though Radharani is married to her son, and there they are, they're living in the palace there. But Krishna keeps coming around, and Radharani keeps going out and meeting, and it's a bit of a, people are talking. So she decided, no more, that's it. We will keep Radharani here in the palace, and we will not let her out, and that's it for the rest of her life. Gosh. So of course Srimati Radharani was really not happy at all. And generally every day Srimati Radharani goes from Yavat, where Jatila's palace is, to Nandagram, where Krishna at that time was staying. She goes there normally twice a day to cook for him. And she, I know through personal experience that many of you ladies are excellent cooks. But, don't mind me saying it, Srimati Radharani is better. She is. She cooks for Krishna every day, even twice a day. And it's been going on, not for thousands, not for millions, not for billions of years, but just forever. She has not repeated the same preparation. Never. What do you think of that? And that doesn't mean, I cook halava sometimes. It doesn't mean halava one time with raisins. Next time halava with sultanas. Next time with nuts. You know what I mean? It means different preparations. Amazing. So yes, and Mother Yashoda was extremely attached to Srimati Radharani doing that, because she's such an expert cook, and Krishna loves her cooking so much. On one hand, it's expertly done, that's one thing. But then, and this is the main thing, there's so much love in it. Krishna wants to taste the love. And even sometimes, if something is not actually cooked nicely, but somehow a lot of love has gone into it, Krishna will be very happy to eat that. And you know the story, I'm sure, of when Lord Krishna visited Hastinapur and had lunch at the place of Vidura and his wife, and they were very poor, all they had was bananas, and they were in such ecstasy that Krishna has come to our place for lunch. They just sort of lost control, and they were peeling the bananas. The wife was peeling the bananas, but she was throwing away the fruit and handing the skin to Vidura, her husband, who was just in such ecstasy, didn't notice. He was handing the skin to Krishna, and Krishna was in such ecstasy, he didn't notice, and he was eating the skins. And Krishna was saying, these are the best bananas I've ever tasted. And that was just because of the love. frankly, I've never eaten a banana skin. And I doubt if any of you have. And there's a reason for it. I think people may have done in the past, and then they spread the word. They're not nice. Don't eat them. But Krishna was eating them because of the love. Anyway, there's many things. We could go on for a long time. But Jatila put an end to it all. She can't go and cook. She's here under lock and key. That's all. So, of course, Radharani was very upset, and Mother Yashoda and Krishna and all the devotees were really upset. And so in the story as it's described, as it's told, Lalita comes from Nandagram with a request from Mother Yashoda that if Radharani cannot come, then at least could she make some sweets here? And Lalita said, then I'll take them back and Krishna can have them. So Jatila agreed, and Radharani made some sort of sweets, and Lalita took them back. So that's, something better than nothing. But then, having done some service for Krishna, but not being able to associate with him and only doing just a little service because her heart is just so full of the desire to serve. And she only feels anything like satisfied if she's able to serve Krishna. So because she's so restricted now, Radharani became overwhelmed. She collapsed. They made a bed, a sort of a bed of lotus stems. And lotus stems are cool and cooling. And then they coated it with sandalwood paste, which is cooling. Srimati Radharani lay down on this doubly cooling kind of bed arrangement, and everything just started practically bursting into flame because she's so much in the fire of separation. Actually, when we talk about the fire of separation in relation to Srimati Radharani or these very, very great devotees, we literally mean fire. We actually mean fire. Things start burning. And that's what happened with that bed. And we know about Srila Rupa Goswami, who's Rupa Manjari, the main assistant of Lalita Devi in the pastimes. Rupa Goswami was one time nearby there at Tirkadamba, and they were discussing the pastimes of Radha and Krishna. And Srila Rupa Goswami got so much into the fire of separation that he breathed on one devotee's shoulder, and the devotee's shoulder burst into a blister because of the actual heat. Yeah, it's really quite something. So anyway, Vishaka came running out. She's the second of the Astasakis. Lalita's the first. And she said, I think Srimati Radharani is dying. I think she's dying. It seems she's been bitten by a snake. And she's become paralyzed. and lost consciousness, and step by step she's dying. We got to do something. She's reporting this to Jatila, the mother-in-law. We've got to find a snake doctor, someone who can help us. So Jatila, apart from, she's very sort of eccentric and unusual, but one thing you can say about her, she really loves Srimati Radharani. She just really, really, really loves Srimati Radharani. So Jatila went running out. We got to find a snake doctor. Where can I find a snake doctor? And who should she meet but, this is probably someone many of you are not familiar with in the pastimes, Gargi is the daughter of Garga Muni, who did the name-giving ceremony and various things for Krishna and Balaram. He's like the priest of Nanda Maharaja's family, Krishna's family. So she ran into Gargi, who's a Brahmin, a Brahmini, female Brahmin, and they know all these medical things and magical things. And she asked, are you a snake doctor? Can you cure snake bite? And Gargi said, no, I can't, but my sister Vidyavali is here from South India. She got married in South India. She's here, and she is an expert snake doctor. She'll solve the problem, don't worry. So Gargi took Jatila to her sister, whose name was Vidyavali. And Jatila threw herself at the feet of Vidyavali and begged, will you please come to our place and save the life of Radharani, who's been bitten by a snake. Of course, the snake she was bitten by is the snake of separation. You can have a blazing fire of separation. You can also be bitten by the snake. In either case, it's, dangerous. So Vidyavali looked at Jatila, and Jatila looked at Vidyavali. And Jatila thought, have I seen this person before? Because Vidyavali, devotees, listen to this, was very dark-skinned. Yes. Hint, hint. You're all smart devotees. Very dark-skinned. And Vidyavali said, well, I could do, but I don't know if I want to, because I would have to walk from here to Yavat. And I have heard that in this area there is one young man named Krishna, and he is a very troublesome young man. And if he were to even see me, just see me, that's all, I think it would be too embarrassing. I would have to give up my life, because he's not nice sometimes, how he deals with ladies. And Jatila said, no, I'll protect you, don't worry. Just come with me, I'll make sure he doesn't even look at you or do anything or say anything. Just come with me and save Radharani. So Vidyavali said, well, if you insist. And Jatila was thinking, haven't I seen this person before? The voice sounds kind of familiar. But anyway, let's go. So off they went. And they arrived back at Yavat. And Vidyavali, they all went into the room. Srimati Radharani was there, barely breathing because the fire of separation is just so much. And Vidyavali did a pulse reading. And as soon as Vidyavali touched Radharani, suddenly Radharani started shaking uncontrollably, which happens when she gets touched by someone, a certain person. Yeah. And her hair started standing up on end, goose pimples. And Jatila, seeing this, she thought, what is this? I've only seen this happen when she has contact with Krishna, but this is a girl, and this is not Krishna. So, but anyway, okay. Vidyavali turned and said, it is extremely serious. I have to do some special secret treatment. You'll all have to go outside, wait outside. So they all went out. Vidyavali locked the door from the inside. I think, have some of you guessed who Vidyavali is now? Have you girls? Did you? You dressed. You guessed. Okay, don't tell anyone. So then, after some minutes, Vidyavali spoke through the door that Srimati Radharani has been bitten by the snake of Lord Shiva. You know, Lord Shiva has a cobra round his neck. That cobra has bitten Radharani. But I have called the cobra here, and now I'm negotiating with him to take out the poison. But he says he wants to speak to you, Jatila. And Jatila said, really? To me? Why me? What's it got to do with me? And then through the door came the voice of the snake of Lord Shiva. And the snake of Lord Shiva said to Jatila, Jatila, I am the snake of Lord Shiva, and I have come to kill you. And Jatila said, what? You come to kill me? Why did you bite Radharani? And the snake said, because I know that if I bite you, you will die in a few minutes. But if I kill Radharani, you will suffer for the rest of your life. And after she dies, I will bite your son Abhimanyu, and that will be even worse for you. And Jatila said, but why? Why do you want to hurt me? Why do you want to do this to me? What have I done? And the snake replied, I am doing this because you have offended the Lord of my Lord, Shiva. You have offended Krishna. And Jatila became bewildered. She said, well, I know I have a problem with Krishna, but, he deserves it. And the snake said, actually, you don't understand Krishna and Radharani and their relationship. Actually, their relationship is completely pure, and you have just been gossiping about them. You don't understand their relationship. They're completely transcendental. So, you must apologize to Radharani and Krishna. And then you must go and tell everyone that Radha and Krishna are just wonderful. And Jatila said, yes, I'll do it. Today, I'll go running around. And the snake said, and you must never again say any nonsense about them. And Jatila said, yes, I won't say anything. I'll just glorify them. No problem. And the snake said, all right, now I will take out my poison. So maybe 5 minutes later, Vidyavali opened the door, which was locked from the inside, and there was Srimati Radharani, just in wonderful health, very happy and healthy, and everything was fine. And Jatila said to Radharani, this Vidyavali, well, first she said, where's that snake? And Vidyavali said, oh, he went out the window. He's gone back to Kailash. He's gone back to Kailash. Because, take a guess, who was imitating the voice of the snake? So anyway, Jatila told Radharani, this Vidyavali is so wonderful. She saved your life. You owe her your life. I want you to give her a big hug. And Radharani hesitated because you guessed right who Vidyavali is, or do I need to help you? Radharani hesitated because, anyway, Vidyavali is Krishna, okay, in disguise. So Radharani hesitated. I can't embrace Krishna in front of my mother-in-law, and Abhimanyu, the husband, arrived too. I can't do that. But then Abhimanyu said, listen, I am your husband, and along with my mother, we are ordering you to embrace her now. So Radharani and Vidyavali, They had long hug. You know, sometimes when these devotees embrace, like Lord Nityananda and Madhavendra Puri, they embraced, if I remember correctly, I think it was for 3 hours. And that's relatively short, a relatively short embrace for people on that level. I read just recently somebody embraced someone for 6 days. So anyway, they're embracing and embracing and embracing and embracing. And then Radharani thought, okay, that should be enough. Started pulling away. And Jatila said, no! And Abhimanyu, no, you must embrace him more. So yes, talk about an embrace. And as this is going on, Radharani is thinking that just see, that very person who any other time, if she sees him look at me from 100 meters away, she'll shout at him and chase him with a stick. That same person I am now embracing right in front of her by her order. And Radharani thought, just see, these pastimes in Vrindavan, they're just so amazing, so amazing. So yes, this is one, and it is just an abbreviated form, but one very nice pastime of Srimati Radharani and Lord Krishna in Vrindavan. And it's all very deep. It's all extremely deep. That if somehow or other, if these devotees, and not just Radharani, but the cowherd boys and all the devotees, if they're separated from Krishna, then, well, you know what Lord Chaitanya said? Yugaitam nimeshena. Just a nimesh means a fraction of a second. A fraction of a second is like a yuga, yugaitam, or Prabhupada translates that as 12 years or more. Just a fraction of a second. When Krishna was out with the cowherd boys, sometimes, you know, there's a whole lot of them, and the cows, and it's a whole crowd. But they're all trying to be close to Krishna. But if Krishna walks behind a tree, you know, like this pillar here in the center, something like that, or maybe a bit bigger, you know, that's a fairly substantial tree, but it's not that big. If Krishna walks behind the tree, the cowherd boys, they feel desperate separation. Desperate separation. Because they can't see, and they're moving. So Krishna's behind the tree for a couple of seconds or something like that. But the relationships are so deep. The relationships are so deep that it's like that. And it's like that eternally. It's not like in the material world where we have relationships, and we have so many relationships, and some of them, you know, they mean a lot to us. But then sometimes we need to take a little break from whoever it is. Just, you know, what do they say? Separation makes the heart grow fonder. Yeah, sometimes people need to spend a little time separate from each other. You know what I read? I read a number of times that during this COVID phenomenon and all the lockdowns, etc., and many couples have been just forced to be together 24 hours a day for like a year and a half or so, and the divorce rate went up. Did you read about that? Yeah, because, you know, the relationship only goes so deep, and then you got to sort of, okay, that's enough, and take a little break, and then you feel fresh again, and the relationship's sweeter. But these relationships, they're so deep, we have no experience actually. Well, we have experience of relationships and affectionate relationships, but not like that. Like Mother Yashoda, Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur, the same author, he says that her dedication to Krishna, her affection for Krishna, her desire as a mother to bring up Krishna and look after Krishna in the best ways she can, it's so strong that he says that she is ready to give her life 10,000 times if there's a speck of dust on his forehead. Means mothers, sometimes with their little children, they like to check them out. You know, okay, your things are in order, and you know, you're here, and you're okay. You know what I mean? Didn't your mother ever do that to you? She's ready to give her life 10,000 times if there's a speck of dust on his forehead. So, you know, we are to become, you could say, exposed to these things, to hear about these things, these relationships, to get some appreciation, try to develop some appreciation and get some inspiration and some idea that these amazing, amazing things, this is what we can enter. This is what we are to enter. So, but, you know, there's a bit of a way to go. There's a bit of a way in between us and that. So, but if we practice, if we follow the process properly, then step by step it will come to us, even though we have many shortcomings and lackings like that. Yes, if we work on it, if we work at it, as Prabhupada said once, that what is Krishna consciousness? It's the development of a relationship with Krishna, disguised as a process. We have to chant our rounds and follow the principles and get up early and do some service and read the books and etc. The different things. It's a process, but really what it is, it's the development of a relationship with Krishna. So this month of Kartik is very special like that, because there's so much, because there is the pastime, Yashoda Damodar, which we can learn, we meditate on every day for the whole month. Normally we don't do that. But every day we meditate on it and try and appreciate it from different points of view and like that. So that's there as a facility to deepen our understanding, our appreciation, and so we can learn and become purified. That's there. for us to help us to progress. Plus, there's some extra mercy too. There's some extra mercy. You do the same Krishna conscious activity, you always get some mercy, but now you get more, a lot more. So we have a week left, devotees and friends. Let's make the most of it. Take advantage of it in a nice sense for our progress in Krishna consciousness, our happiness in Krishna consciousness. Okay. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada Ki.